Real leadership isn't about titles. It's about the work it takes to earn your place. Showing up, staying when it's uncomfortable, doing the work long before anyone notices. Pull up a chair. This is A Seat at the Table with Melinda Brandt and Ashley Stroud.
Well, hello, everyone. Ashley, so great to see you again.
It's great to be here. These are going to be like my two favorite topics, health and leadership. And so I cannot wait to get started today, Melinda.
Yeah, we're pulling up a chair this evening for A Seat at the Table with Monica McKitterick. Monica, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, ladies. I feel so honored to be in this room right now.
Well, just to give a quick background, Monica is a family nurse practitioner, entrepreneur, speaker, founder of Impact Family Wellness. Built a practice from the ground up with a simple goal, and that was to make sure that the patients were cared for the way she believed they needed to be cared for. That vision, it's grown into several different clinics, and we're going to get into all of that. But the way we like to start our show, Monica, is to know where you came from. Tell us about young Monica. What kind of kid were you?
Oh, I have been a people pleaser and an overachiever since like day one. I grew up in a household that had some chaos in it. And so the only way that I knew how to control that chaos was to be the perfect child that got straight A's and made everybody happy. And so I've been trying to make everybody happy my whole life. I'm finally getting over it after 43 years. But I'm the middle child of three. I grew up in a small town in Northwest Ohio. Shout out to my Buckeye fans. Sorry to Texas. We have a game coming up.
We'll let that slide.
Yeah. Just saying. But yeah, I am a huge sports nut. I am married to my amazing husband, Clayton. I have two boys. My stepson is Dylan. He's 25. And my birthed child is Grayson, and he is 10. So yeah, we love to travel. It is my love language. So if I'm ever not answering an email, it's because I am over an ocean somewhere seeing something fun. I know. Rough life.
So you said you grew up in a chaotic home. Is that what drew you to wanting to help people and maybe eventually led into healthcare?
You know, I think the biggest thing that led me to healthcare was I had my own healthcare issue when I was 12. I was bounced off of a trampoline and broke my arm in half and had 3 surgeries and multiple trips to the physical therapist. And it was 2 years of my life that was awful. But it really opened my eyes to the healthcare world. And along with people pleaser, I like to impress everyone. And so by telling people what I was going to do with my life, it was like, ooh, that's cool. So at one point I said I was going to be a pediatric oncologist because that sounds really cool. There's no way I could ever do that. Like, no way. And then I wanted to be a physical therapist, but that wasn't quite big enough. So then I decided I was going to go to pre-med, and it was a whole thing. But yeah, I think I've always been a helper. That's always just been my personality. And then I think that breaking of my arm at the age of 12 really introduced me to this world of healthcare. Because my mom was a teacher, and so that's what I was going to be, which thank the world I did not, because you do not want me to teach your children.
Well, since you had a couple of different fields you were thinking about in healthcare, how did you land on nursing?
Yeah, so I went to college as a biomedical engineering pre-med major, because that sounds really good, right? And then in my freshman year, we had a panel of med students that we were able to ask questions to. And the first question they asked in this meeting was, how many hours a day do you study? And the first kid said 8 hours. The second one said 14. And the third one said 12. And I stood up from that meeting, walked out, and changed my major because I am not that person. I cannot sit for that long. And so I changed my major to nursing with the intent that I could still go to medical school if I wanted. But that just seemed like a decent path. And then I was very blessed my senior year. One of my professors told me that I should go to graduate school to be a nurse practitioner. And I laughed in her face because I was like, first of all, I don't know what a nurse practitioner is. Second of all, I've been in school forever at this point. I'm pretty done. But she said to me, well, someone will pay for it. This was when there's a huge nursing shortage. And so if you had RN behind your name, you could write your check to wherever you wanted to go. So I applied to 3 schools, went to the one that gave me the most money, and at 25, I finished my master's degree as a nurse practitioner.
And how long did you spend in that field?
So I've been a nurse practitioner now for 18 years, but I finished my undergrad, took 1 year off, and then immediately started my master's program. So it was quick.
That is quick. And I know one thing that you said that brought you out of maybe working for others and starting your own did you just find that it wasn't working the way that you thought it should?
Oh, it turns out healthcare is not taking care of people, especially in our system. It's doing paperwork all day long. I treated my patients like cattle. I saw 30 patients a day, and that's not what I'm about. I'm about relationships. I'm about having a conversation. So when you walk in as my patient, I want to know how you've been, what's going on with your family, all the things. I had 7 minutes max with each patient. I barely have time to know your name, let alone what's wrong with you. And so for 10 years, I worked in that insurance world, and turns out I don't like sick people either. Learned that a little too late. I like the ones that I can fix, right? But there's a lot of things you can't fix. And so it was just really hard. But ultimately, I wasn't actually providing healthcare. I was just putting Band-Aids on things and getting people out the door so that I could see the next patient. And it was not at all what I thought healthcare was meant to be.
What was it that was that final moment that you said, okay, I've seen enough here. There's got to be a different, better way to do it, where you set off on your own?
I was relocating to Texas. We were living in New Mexico at the time, and we were moving here because my husband needed a bigger city to grow in his career. And so I was moving here trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I'm a family nurse practitioner, and I love primary care, but it is exhausting in the insurance-based world. And it was actually a Facebook ad that said, primary care physician takes home $400,000 a year and is home in time for dinner. I was like, well, that's a straight lie. Click. Clickbait
Oh, I
works.
thought you were going to say, sign me up.
Right? Well, I was like, this is can't be true. And so the clickbait worked like a champ. And then that led me into the world of direct primary care, which is what my office is now. And then it was a whole step process after that of now I know that there's this way that I can take better care of my patients, have more control of my time, and make the same amount of money. Like, okay, cool. I'm here for that. It took some convincing of my husband. He was like, yeah, no, Monica, you can't do that. That's not real. But here it is, 7 years later, and it's real.
So to clarify, did you join with another direct model? No, you just started.
No,
you went straight from traditional in a hospital or in a clinic setting, working for a practitioner, all the way to like starting your own. You didn't even like try to join with the direct model.
Wow. That clickbait led me to a course that I could take to learn about it. But instead, I just watched every YouTube video possible. In direct primary care, it had only been around for about 8 to 9 years at that point. So there wasn't a ton of info. But I was like, wait, I don't really want to pay this guy $2,500 to go to his course. Let me see if I can figure this out on my own. Unfortunately, AI was not a thing yet. So I had to like actually Google how to write a business plan and figure all of it out. But no, I jumped directly ship from being an employed provider to I'm going to go do this myself in a town where I know 2 people in the whole city, the whole central Texas, to be honest. So it was a leap. But
wow.
Well, I want to talk about that leap and all the steps it took trying to figure it out as you went. When we get back after the break, we're talking with Monica McKitterick here on A Seat at the Table. And we're back with Monica McKitterick. Before the break, we were getting to know you, Monica, as a person before the business. I want to now talk about the moment that everything changed. We started touching on that. You started a successful nursing career, but somewhere you realized the system just wasn't working any longer. You wanted to give proper care, as how I would call it. Is that how you would define it?
Yep.
Yeah. So I want to know how you said you had this conversation with your husband, and he's like, no, you can't. You say, yes, I can. You're doing YouTube videos. How do you just go, okay, I've got this idea, and then launch it?
Yeah. Well, I had to convince my husband, right? So my husband has an MBA. And so he was like, how is this going to work? And so I legitimately wrote a business plan of I'm going to get 500 patients. I'm going to have me in my little office. It's just going to be me. I need $20,000 to do this. And by the way, I'm not getting paid for at least 6 months. And we had just bought a brand new house. We were moving to a new city. And he said, okay. And so thankfully, my husband is amazingly supportive and also makes a decent salary. So we would have made it, and we had enough in savings that if I completely fell on my face, it would be okay. And 6 months from now, I would have to go get an employed position again. And so I did. We came to Texas, found an office space, had to personally guarantee it. And my husband was like, all right, so if this fails, how much are we out? Like it was a whole thing. And then I had to learn all the stuff right? Because I have 3 degrees in nursing, not one in business, accounting, marketing, how to write a website, none of it. And so I basically just started doing a checklist of like, okay, I need a website. Here we go. So I made a website. And then it was, well, now I need software and I need malpractice insurance and I need business insurance and all the things that nobody tells you about. And then the biggest struggle for sure was marketing of how do you do this? And not only am I marketing myself and no one knows me, but also I'm marketing a completely new concept of healthcare where no, I'm not going to take your insurance, which is like a big old brick wall to people. They're like, oh, you don't take my insurance. You must be really expensive. You want to take all my money. No. Actually, I'm much more affordable and I'm going to save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So it was a huge learning process. So from decision to launch was about 7 months, but part of that was I had to move here. And we weren't supposed to, it was a whole thing.
Well, that seems pretty fast to say you had no business experience.
None.
So you took your business plan. I saw somewhere where you said you started with like $20,000 in a Craigslist exam table.
Everything is from Craigslist.
Well, I mean, if you can, right? Yeah. Do it. So I'm trying to figure out, you come up with a business plan. How did you know the first step after that a website, that was the first step? And then like, how did you know each additional step and what order to do it if you've never done it before?
Yeah. So I found an online course that was for how to start a practice that was an insurance-based practice. So there were some parts that I didn't need to do, specifically credentialing, which is a whole disaster. But it still gave me the basics. And every state is different based off of licensure reasons. And so I had to find one that would tell me about Texas. But I also found an amazing woman who started a practice just like mine up in Burleson, Texas, who was willing to have phone conversations with me. And so shout out to Rachel. She is a phenomenal human. We still are like mentors. We still talk to each other because business ownership is very lonely. And so whenever she has an issue, she'll call me and be like, what would you do? And so I used a lot of resources just in that manner from asking people. I also went to a conference about it, but the physicians in the room did not think I belonged, and it was very uncomfortable, but honestly just gave me a little bit more motivation to be like, you know what, I think I belong here. I think I can do it.
Love what you brought up about mentorship and how it's so overlooked, and especially women helping women, right? Like raising each other up and just having those conversations. Most of the time, I mean, if somebody reaches out to me, like I'm absolutely willing to share whatever knowledge I might have. And I find that most of the time when I reach out to somebody who's done it ahead of me, like I get the same response.
Yeah.
And it is really like how you build great businesses is by reaching out to your network, finding people who've already walked the path. And then just like, skipping some of the stupid tax, right? Like skip through some of the stuff that you don't need to learn the hard way if it's already been done for you. So I love that was like a go-to for you because that's something everybody can do. Find the right people to connect with.
Yes. And I also connected with some of the original direct primary care physicians here in Austin that had been in business for about 5 years. And they were very gracious and very willing to let me come to their clinics and be like, well, what did you have to buy? What do you need for these things? How do you do this? And they were very gracious to help me. And so, I try to pay that back now and help others.
Out of curiosity, how did you find them? Is it the same as you learned how to do a business? Google it?
Google. I tell you, if you want to start a direct primary care office, it's so much easier. You can just ask ChatGPT, how do I do this, right?
And write a business plan for my husband to accept.
Right? 100%. Yes.
Well, what gave you the confidence as you're trying to figure this out to keep going without that formal business training as you were piecing it together? Did you just know in the back of your mind, it's going to work, it's going to work, just keep going?
I'm a 3 on the Enneagram, which means I do not fail. Like failure is like my ultimate fear. And so there was no way I was going to let this not happen. Not only because I can't take that personally, but also like the debt that it would have put onto my family would have not been great. We would have been fine. Don't get me wrong. Like we would have made it. But I had really great support, not only from my husband, but from my other family members who also were just cheering me on, like, you can do this. And then just building, especially the support. My initial office is in Cedar Park. And so I met some great networking ladies when I first got there. And then they just kept like talking about me. And I was like, wow, they're like legit trying to help me. And I find it all the time now. Like networking is by far the number one way I've made my office grow. And it's mind-blowing to me how great other business owners are and how great they can be. Of course, there's some not so great ones out there, but for the most part, I find that people are very helpful. And so it was just put it boots on the ground, like go do it, go talk to people, go tell them what you're doing.
I think that's where we met, right?
Yeah.
It was at Boss Babes.
Networking?
Yeah.
At networking, is that
Absolutely.
the group we met with? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. It's the first time I remember seeing you was at that group. Yeah.
And I had no idea what I was doing.
Well,
I was
you
like,
you
what
played
is
it off really well. I would have never thought that. You can put on a great show then.
I didn't even know what networking was. I was like, wait, what do you want me to
I'm
do?
just going to show up and see what happens.
Okay.
So, what has been the biggest difference in putting on that boss hat compared to putting on the nursing hat where you were working for someone else?
Yeah, I had one job to do then, and it was to get through my schedule every day and finish my charts and hopefully not kill anybody, right? Which thankfully I never have. It was so much different because no one was telling me what I had to do and what I didn't have to do, right? No one says what time you have to get to the office in the morning. No one says what time you can go home. No one says what on your to-do list has to get done today. And so it takes a lot of self-motivation, especially to do the things you don't want to do. And also it takes a lot of discomfort because you have to do things to get your business out there. The biggest thing for me was making videos. Like the fact that I'm sitting on a video podcast right now, I would have been like, no, not happening. And now I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it anytime. And so there's a lot of discomfort throwing yourself out there. Like you have to become vulnerable because people are going to tell you suck. No matter how great you are, somebody's going to be like, yeah, she's not as great as she thinks she is. Or somebody's going to be angry. So you got to have like thick skin. And I was not good at that. Not so much.
Well, you said a little bit earlier that this new concept, people just, you don't accept insurance, I'm not going to do this. How did you overcome that obstacle? Was a lot of it the marketing, doing videos just
Absolutely.
to convince people that give it a try?
So much education. And still to this day, Melinda, that is what I do all day, every day, is educate people on the fact that there is an alternative to crappy healthcare. There is an affordable option where someone will actually know your name and actually take care of you. I need direct primary care to be as common knowledge as Target and Costco. Someday, give it 10 years, I think we'll get there. But it is an alternative to healthcare that people just don't know exists. They don't know they have this option. They think they have to deal with the insurance-based world where nobody answers the phone, nobody wants to answer their questions. They can only talk about two things, and it's awful. And we aren't actually taking care of people. Our healthcare system in the United States is not a healthcare system at all. It is a sick care system. It is waiting for you to get sick, and then we'll try to fix you. What if we actually did preventative care and talked about things that actually matter, like sleep and stress and nutrition and body movement? But instead, we're like, oh, you're tired? Great, here's a pill, right? Instead of actually figuring out why you're tired. And so I do believe that people are finally coming around to realizing that that's not acceptable and we don't have to deal with that. But they just have to be able to find the place where they fit and the person who will listen to them.
Well, I was going to call you out on earlier when you said that it's a good thing you didn't educate, children. You're making fun of your mom being a school teacher. But I was going to say, like, ever since I've known you, education has been like a pillar of who you are and what you do. Like you're constantly educating people on the direct care model and how it can help them. And so, and I was going to mention that I think that's probably, I think as nurses, my background in nursing too, right? Mm-hmm. Like we are natural educators on trying to educate patients on how best to take care of them. And I'm just curious if that helped you also like navigate this new business world. And then now you're not educating people necessarily on disease and everything on everyday basis. You're just trying to educate them on a model that might fit them better and actually help with better outcomes.
Yeah. It's really easy to educate somebody on something that you're really passionate about.
I can tell.
It's like sales, right? It's technically sales.
It is sales.
That's what I'm doing. And there's a great book everybody sells. And my husband, when I first started this, he's been in sales his whole life. And I was like, I don't know that I can do sales. He's like, Monica, you do sales every day.
That's right.
When somebody comes in and they get a new diagnosis of diabetes, what do you tell them? Well, they need to change their diet. They need to start exercising.
You have to sell them on the cure.
You sell them every day. You also sell your child on eating his dinner.
Right.
Right. So we all sell all day long. Whether you call it sales or education, if you have a true passion about it, it makes it so easy. I can talk about what I do till I'm blue in the face. And I think direct primary care is for everyone. Now, are there certain people that maybe it's not fine? But I'm going to tell you, there's no one that can probably come to me and be like, direct primary care would ruin my life. No, it wouldn't. I promise you, it won't.
At worst, it's like a great ancillary to like traditional.
Right. There are definitely people who absolutely need traditional insurance-based healthcare because they have chronic diseases that are super expensive to deal with. But even them, we can still help them navigate the systems and be a real advocate for them.
Yeah.
What about the healthcare industry? Do you face pushback from that for trying to get away from here's the pill route to what else can we do?
No, because I don't think they care that we exist. I don't think we're a big enough rabbit in the pool. That's not the right terms. We're not big enough rabbit in the pool.
Hey, I do the same
just
thing.
Totally
I love
made
There's
that
fish
up.
in the pond.
There's
Fish in
a
the
name
pond.
for that.
There
We'll
you
look it
go.
up later. I'll bring
Right.
it back after there's a name for mixing up idioms. I have it too.
Yes.
So you're in good company.
My husband calls me out on it. So we aren't big enough for them to care because we aren't pulling enough patients from their population yet to matter. It's going to happen where those insurance-based practices are not going to be able to fill their panels and not be able to do their fee-for-service enough that they will be able to, because we will pull them out into the healthcare system that will actually take care of them. But it'll be monumental and it'll be the greatest thing that ever happened because people will actually be healthy and not just croaking from heart attacks. We'll have
what
figured it out
a
before that.
thought. That will be so nice.
Shocking, right?
We are just getting started with Monica. After the break, I want to touch on the competition that you entered and what you learned from that, because I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. Most people would be like, oh, you entered a competition to get this, and you come away with something totally unexpected. So we're going to delve into that here with Monica McKitterick on A Seat at the Table. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm Melinda Brandt alongside Ashley Stroud, and we are continuing our conversation with Monica McKitterick. Before the break, we have talked about you building up the practice, taking that leap into entrepreneurship. But building something's one thing, leading is completely different. So I want to get into that aspect of it's not just you that is running this business.
It is hands down the hardest thing I will find in business is getting the right people in the right places to support the mission and the vision, because no one is going to treat your business the way you do. Not a single person, no matter how great they are, right? And I have the best staff known to man. They are 10 phenomenal humans, and then I have 2 virtual assistants. And I couldn't do what I do without them, but it took a lot of learning curve to figure out how to get the right people in the right places. Once again, I'm a people pleaser. So when people ask me for things, I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, of course. And then I also had nothing written down. Everything was in my head. So I just assumed everyone would do things just like I do. Everyone will take care of patients the exact same way I do. And so as I began bringing on more and more providers, people were doing things differently, and not necessarily wrong, but different. And that took me a lot of time to deal with. And then the biggest thing for me was learning to delegate. Because once again, nobody can do anything as well as I can. That's a lie. There are actually people who are better at things than me. I just have to find them and give up that control, which as a business owner, when you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into this, all the risk is on you, right? You have employees. If the business goes under tomorrow, they will go get another job. I'm kind of screwed. Like, I'm out of thousands and thousands of dollars. Now I have all this stuff I can't do anything. Like, what do? I have leases, buildings that I own. And so finding the right team is really difficult. And I don't care how many times you interview somebody, you'll never know until they actually step in the door. So, hire quickly, fire faster.
Mm-hmm. Was that always part of your vision, was to have a team?
Never.
No. So when you first went into it, this was going to be a solo practice?
Just me and my 500 patients in my little office.
What changed?
Yeah.
Well,
500 patients came?
Right. Well, I got to
1,000 patients came. That's what changed.
I got to about 350 patients 15 months in, which was way faster than I expected. And I was drowning in paperwork, like faxes and referrals and things and I was still cleaning the toilet and opening the office every day and paying the electric bill and doing the marketing and all the things. And so I quickly realized that if I could have someone else to also see patients, I could do those things better, all the marketing and all the business stuff. But also I could take a vacation, like a real one, where I wasn't constantly checking in with patients. And so started that hiring process, and it just kind of grew from there. Learned lessons along the way with the hiring process of who's the right fit and who's not, and who can be themselves and can actually be doing things behind your back that you don't even know about. And not taking that personally. And it's been a wild ride.
Well, when your mission was all about delivering the best possible care to patients, when that was the mission, the heart behind what you started, then it must have been somewhat of a stressor for you, realizing that you were spending so much time doing administrative work that you had literally left the system to avoid.
Absolutely.
Was that just kind of a crashing moment where you're like, whoa, this is like, I literally left this field so that I could deliver the best possible care?
Yeah. And it was a lot of things that were just below my pay grade that I was doing, like dealing with faxes. Like anybody could deal with faxes, right? And so it was realizing that I needed somebody to help support me. And then as I started hiring, I have had some terrible bosses in my day, and I have vowed to never be that guy. I never want to be that guy in the C-suite who was trying to tell me how to do my job, even though he's never taken care of a patient a day in his life. And so I always wanted, as I did start hiring, to make sure that my staff was so well taken care of and knew that they were appreciated and well compensated and taken care of. And so I've always been that person. And so that's why I have such an amazing team.
I bet that translates.
I was going to say, absolutely. When they know they're taken care of, they want to perform for you.
I mean, half of them are at the spa today.
Oh,
Very
wow.
nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
Setting the bar.
Courtesy of Monica?
Courtesy of Monica.
I mean, is this a recruiting pitch? It sounds like it's a recruiting pitch. Yeah.
I would say it is, except I'm not hiring anymore. I'm done. We have such an amazing team, and I don't want to grow anymore. Like, I'm good right where I am. I did not open this office to make millions. I opened this office to have more control of my time, and that's what I have. And so if you want to come work for me, I'm sorry. I don't have any spots.
We'll let you know if anything comes available. So one part of your journey is kind of unexpected. One of your patients came to you telling you about a competition show. It was a reality TV show, Entrepreneurship Competition. You applied, you got on the show, you competed. Tell us about the why. Why did you, because you'd already opened a clinic. You'd already started your business. So why did you apply for this competition?
Yeah, I was 5 years into business when I applied to go on the blocks. And I went on it. So my friend Derek told me about it because he went on the show. And then when he came back, we went to lunch and he was like, it was amazing. You have to go. I learned so much. And so I went back.
Sales.
Right? He learned some sales. I went back and watched one of the episodes of the show. So I think he was on season 14. I ended up being on season 18. So I went back and watched season 12. And I went through it and I learned multiple things about marketing and all the things that I could actually apply to my business immediately. And so I said, well, all right, let me do this. So I applied and they said, okay, you can come. And so I went.
Well, I found it was interesting. You said you kind of went to go because it was going to be like a business 101 course for you, kind of like a crash course, learning all the things like you just said. You were winning every competition, every little thing that they threw in front of it, you were coming out on top. So did you really need Business 101?
Well, interestingly, so the show is a lot of pitches, right? So they throw a lot of things at you and then you have to answer questions to make sure you understand it. And so I do think that by having 5 years of business experience under my belt, it actually made me better at the show because I was more confident in my answers. There were people there who had not even launched. Some had just an idea. And then people up to $2 million in revenue at that time. So I was definitely on the upper echelon of that world. But I met people in franchises and like solo things and people who had businesses that I was like, I hope you have a backup plan because that is not going to work. Like, you're a little crazy. But yeah, I will say the show is 5 days of competition. And so I was going just to go have fun, right? I don't need to win this. It's not my plan. I was really going to learn and meet other people. And that's exactly what I did. I learned something new every single day. Still to this day, there are changes that I made to my practice that still are in effect today. And this was 2 years ago that I went on that show. And so I met lots of people. But on day one, I finished in first place. And I was like, wow, that was a cool fluke. That was awesome. And then day two, I didn't, but I was still in the top 3. And then day 3, I finished in first place again of 120 people. And that was a game changer for me because I don't know if I told you, but I don't fail at things. So the idea that I could be on top for day 1 day 2, day 3, day 4, and then not win? Oh, absolutely not. That was not happening. And I didn't sleep. I was like studying all night long. I was so stressed out. All on me. I did this to myself. No one else was expecting this. But I mean, spoiler alert, I won. I won first place and I won $10,000. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever done. But what that show gave me that I didn't realize is it gave me validation. Because like I said, I have 3 degrees in nursing, not 1 in business. And so I've just been winging this thing for years. And that imposter syndrome is real. And that was the first time that I was like, oh, I think I belong at this table.
Aww.
And it was so validating to me. And so it just kind of gave me motivation, but it also gave me motivation that I needed to grow, right? Because that's what business owners do, to the point that it made me sick. I was physically ill. And that's actually the time that I realized I don't want 10 clinics. I don't want to do all these things. It took a lot of therapy, tears, and journaling. But it was after that show that I was like, you know what? I can do this. I did do this. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I don't need to get any bigger. I don't need to prove to the world that I can have 10 clinics. Because guess what? No one cares. Like, I really had to define what my definition of success was. And what I found is that my definition of success is traveling over an ocean 3 times a year with my family. Because if I can do that, I have the money, I have the time, I have the systems in place, and I can leave my business. And so that show not only gave me the validation, but it also made me realize what I really wanted in life. And it's not 10 clinics.
It gave you like clarity.
100%.
That you wouldn't have had like otherwise. That's awesome. And I do love that we are sold this idea that there's never any stopping, that there's never boundaries to your business, that it should just continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think that's such a good point, that you can have a clear vision of where the end point is and where the margins of your business stop. And that's A-okay.
Yeah. We're always chasing goals, right? It's always like, get to that goal, get to that goal. And so about 4 years ago, my quote, phrase, mantra of the year was enjoy the journey, right? Because sometimes we just have to take a step back and enjoy the steps. And I actually love that phrase so much. I got it tattooed on my arm in my 10-year-old son's handwriting. Because it's my daily reminder, like, it's okay if you didn't meet the goal today. Tomorrow's another day. But what are you going to do to enjoy the journey today? Even when I'm on a really long flight, sitting in the back of the bus, I'm like, just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy it. But yeah, I think in America, we so much are like, you have to always constantly be growing and getting bigger. Like, your revenue has to go up every year. And guess what? Revenue is not my goal. Revenue is great, and I need it. I need to make sure that my staff is taken care of. But that doesn't define my success.
I thought it was interesting. I'm going to go back to the show just real quick, that you said you watched an episode and figured you could learn a lot. So for someone that maybe has just the idea right now, would you recommend even just maybe not applying for the show? I don't even know if it's still running, but at least going back and maybe getting some information from something like that that's completely different than a Google search?
Absolutely. The Blocks is still running. You can still apply. I think they're on like season 24 or 5 at this point. Wes Bergman runs it and he does a great job. But I think any business entrepreneur can probably learn something from that. It's all about like the lean startup and like how to make decisions, and the decisions are made off of information, not just your gut, and how to get that information. I still watch the seasons when they come out because I still learn things from them that I apply. So yeah, I think especially if you're like, I have an idea, 100%. Go pick an episode. I hear season 18 is great.
A fantastic winner.
I was going to ask you, did you watch yourself on TV? Did you guys have like a watch party with your family?
I did.
And was that like just crazy watching yourself?
Yes.
What was going through your head?
My husband sat down and watched I think there's 8 episodes and they're like an hour long. Of course, we knew what was going to happen, but we did do a watch party. But what we did was compiled all the parts that I was in and made it into like a 35-minute YouTube video, which is still on my YouTube channel, so you can go watch it. That kind of boils it down with just the clips that I was in, and also kind of explains the show so you can understand. So yes, we did have a watch party. It was at Gulfinity on their like 300-inch TV.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was great.
That's fun.
You said one line about the whole show redefine success for you. I want to talk more about that coming up after the break. And of course, we'll get into our rapid fire question to end it all up. So stay with us here at a seat at the table. And we are back with Monica McKitterick. We've talked about leaving a successful career, which you had in the nursing industry, taking a leap of faith, building a business from the ground up, growing into leadership. We talked about going on a competition show, winning the competition, coming home and maybe having a little bit of clarity and redefining what success looks like for you. I really want to delve into that part of your journey because something you have said is success is freedom. Mm-hmm. So your freedom today, we know, is traveling.
Yes.
What else does it involve?
It's really about controlling my time and what I do with it. So I had patients on my schedule from 8 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, and that is what I lived for 15 years. And so a little over 2 years ago, I stepped out of patient care into just the CEO role. And I was very concerned that I would miss patient care. But I'll tell you, I don't. I am a relationship person. I just want to have conversations. And so that's what I do, just in a different capacity. Because honestly, I'm done talking about snot. I've done it for so long. I still get to do some fun things. My staff calls me in for some procedures that only I do. And, I get to talk about the fun cases, but the like colds and flus and COVIDs of the world, I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about antibiotics. I'm just not there. So really it's all about having control of my time because now I have full control of my schedule. I can schedule meetings when I want to. If something is at my kids' school, I can go if I want. But we also give that flexibility to my staff. Many of my staff have small children. And so I am all about control of your time because that's the one currency we cannot trade and we cannot get back. And so it is by far my number one thing of having control of my time, doing with it what I want to do, and also making sure that my staff can do that as well because I don't ever want them to feel like they're tied to a desk from 8 to 5.
What does it look like for your staff? For you, I can understand because you're setting it. But
Yes.
What does that look like for your staff?
So all of my providers work 4 days a week because I don't need them to get burnout. So they all get 1 day off and they work 8:30 to 4:30 are our office hours. They are required to take care of their patients during that time. Now, if they don't have a patient coming in, so our providers typically see between 5 to 8 patients a day instead of 30 because we have 30 to 60-minute appointments, but we also do 70% of what we do via text message. If you wake up and it hurts to pee, I don't necessarily need to touch you. There's a time and a place we need to touch a patient. I can't do a pap smear from afar, right? But there's so many things, thyroid medication refills, hormone discussions. Those can all be done via text or telehealth. And so my staff knows that if they need to leave the office, they're welcome to block their schedule, but they still have to be able to watch their patient messages because our patients are constantly sending us text messages. If they need more than 4 hours off each day, then they need to take paid time off. But they get 3 weeks a year and only work 4 days a week.
Good flexibility there.
Yeah. It's all about, that's how you keep your people happy, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's really cool. It sounds like you managed to like still fulfill this like legacy of having a huge impact on patient care by simply replicating yourself, right? Like you took and you said like the systems, how do you get your providers to provide patient care the way that you envisioned it? Yeah. It sounds like you probably wrote out SOPs and
lots of SOPs.
Things to follow. And now all of a sudden, now there's not just one Monica that's doing patient care, but you have 10 providers.
Yeah. There are lots of SOPs, but
carrying that legacy, that vision forward.
There's also the ability to let them do what they think is best, right?
Yeah.
The practice of medicine is very different, right? How I do it versus my other providers may not necessarily be exactly on par, but how you treat a human being has to be. And so we live and die by our 6 core values of patient obsession. Like that is number one, is patient obsession. Like we are obsessed with our patients. We want them to be taken care of. And so it's all about taking care of them. But also number 2 is it's our team, right? Is we take care of one another. We're here to support one another, whether that's professionally, personally, whatever that is. I'll tell you, I have a very tight-knit team. I have some mama bears on my team, and they will do anything to protect one another, and I love them for it.
Sounds like a great culture to be a part of.
Yeah. You said that maybe originally when you went in this, you were thinking, oh, I'll have lots of clinics everywhere. But after the show, you decided that you were good with the number you had and actually kind of pivoted to helping other healthcare providers create their own. What has been the response to that? How many have you helped so far, and will that continue to grow?
Yeah. So when I decided I didn't want to open all these clinics, I still want direct primary care to continue to grow, but I don't want to open the clinics. I need somebody else to. And so my way to make an impact on that is I wrote a book for healthcare providers considering this space. And it's not a how-to book, it's a should-you book. Like, can I be a healthcare provider and an entrepreneur? Because those are two very different things. And it's for some people and it's not for others. And that's okay. It's okay if that's not you, but it answers all those questions that I wish I had known before I jumped ship and did my own thing of like, what does it take to do marketing? What are boundaries? Because I wish somebody had talked to me about boundaries day one. And so the book is a should you sort of way. And then at the end of the book, you should be able to decide like, yes, I think I should open a direct primary care office, or no, I'm going to stay an employed person, which is fine. But if you choose to move on, I also made an online course that is from idea to launch, how to get a bank account, how to set up a website, what's important in marketing, what's not important in marketing. And so that lays that all out. And then I also offer consulting to providers, whether they're in the space, growing, just have some questions. And I also help to produce a conference for nurse practitioners and PAs looking for this space. So we do that once a year. How's it going? It's been great. Books have sold. I think we've sold 30 something courses. So whether those 30 people actually launch or not, many of them have. And then I have several people on my consulting list that like come back they just pay me by the hour. And so it's been really great. And honestly, it's the thing that fills my cup the most now is I've made so many bad decisions and mistakes. We'll call them the mistakes because I learned from them.
Happy mistakes.
Right. That I feel like I can help other people. And so when they're struggling, when they're like, I don't think I can do this, it's so great to sit down and be like, wait, why do you think that? Like, let's figure this out. And so it fills my cup more than anything to sit down with these other healthcare providers and be like, okay, let's talk about this.
Okay, so, everyone asks me at Plumbing Outfitters, are we ever worried about technicians who we invest in so heavily? Are we ever worried about them going out and starting their own business? And I have an answer for it, but I'm curious, like, what do you think the likelihood is that some of the providers you have currently will eventually choose entrepreneurship for themselves?
So one of my previous employees did. We're not going to talk about it. Simply because of the way it was done. Like it wasn't done in a kind way. It was done in I'm going to leave you and then go do this and not
like
tell
a
you
stab in the back kind of way?
100% stab in the back. My current providers, if they're going to do it, I don't know it. I would hope that they wouldn't. I also think that they see how hard this job is.
Yeah.
It is not easy to grow a direct primary care practice. And so I don't think any of them have the idea to do it now. Could they? Sure, they could. And if they came to me and said, hey, I really want to go do this on my own, can you help me? I would help them.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would. Because there's enough patients. There's 92,000 patients in Cedar Park, Texas.
And you need more to come out of traditional, like, so that people can get better care.
So if any of my providers are listening to this, they're not allowed to leave. But, I think being an entrepreneur is not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah.
It is very hard. I mean, just this week, it is. There's always some bomb that's going to go off. Just when you think everything's great, there's a patient complaint or there's an issue or somebody wants to complain. There's so many personalities and emotions to deal with and trying to keep people happy, which, as I said, I have a phenomenal staff and they're amazing and they make my life easy. But that doesn't mean we don't have 2,400 patients who don't necessarily want to make my life easy, right? We're collecting money from people and I have amazing systems and great things in place, but it never fails. There's something going on. Now, I did just leave for 2 weeks and the place did not burn down. No one died and everything kept moving. So my team is phenomenal.
And that's why they can't leave.
Exactly. Yeah. That is exactly why they can't leave.
All right, we're going to switch gears real quick and we're going to have an extremely rapid fire question here. We're going to start with this or that. Start something new or improve something that's already working.
Start something new.
Scrubs or business blazer?
Oh, scrubs all day.
Planner or wing it?
Planner.
Quiet morning or productive afternoon?
Quiet morning.
I'm going to give you a word. You tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Healthcare.
Doesn't suck.
Leadership.
Hard.
Courage.
Even harder.
Legacy.
Not leaving it for my kid. I'm taking it all with me.
What's one question every entrepreneur should ask themselves?
What is your definition of success?
What does your perfect day look like now?
Coffee in Italy with a stroll through a vineyard, probably visiting some sort of historical something, learning about something that includes a hike, and then a lovely dinner on a coastline.
How are you not going to add in your Pilates class to this? I was really expecting you to drop that.
I mean, that's why I threw the hike in there. But yes, Pilates reformer class.
When you hear the phrase "a seat at the table," what does that mean to you today?
Everyone belongs, but they have to prove it. And I didn't get to this place by luck. I got to this place because I worked my butt off. And if you're willing to do it, you can have the seat at the table as well, but you got to earn it.
And what would you tell anyone that's thinking about taking that leap of faith? Do it.
If you are passionate about it and you're willing to put in the work, absolutely do it. But if you're looking for an easy way out, entrepreneurship is not it.
Monica, thank you so much for pulling up a chair with us today. Really appreciate you sharing your story so openly. I have a feeling a lot of people are going to see themselves in this and learn something. Before we wrap up, I want to say a special thank you to our executive producer, Christina Lara. She does everything behind the scenes to bring this to life. Thank you to Kyle for running the show tonight. And thank you to all of you for spending part of your evening with us. If you miss any of tonight's conversation, you can listen to it at A Seat at the Table wherever you get podcasts. Be sure to follow us on social media. I'm Melinda Brandt alongside Ashley Stroud. We'll see you next time on A Seat at the Table.